And hello, one and all, and welcome to a different review that I'm bringing to you today. Instead of doing a separate video for both the Cruiserweight Classic and this week's edition of NXT, I thought, why not just combine both and give you one jam-packed review for both shows. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on NXT and the Cruiserweight Classic. And what can I say? This was a tremendous 2 hours of professional wrestling by WWE. This was better than Raw and better than SmackDown. I thought SmackDown was a solid C, but NXT and the CWC, I mean, NXT was good, and the CWC kicked ass. So there's a lot to talk about. This, what was it, an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours of wrestling. It went by like that. So it goes to show you a 1 hour show is, 1 to 2 hours is the best length for a professional wrestling show rather than 3 hours. So we have a lot to talk about. So without further ado, we're going to first get into what took place on this tonight's edition of NXT. Overall, like I said, I thought it was a solid edition of NXT that built towards TakeOver Brooklyn. We are a matter of only 10 days away, folks, until NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, and things are shaping up very nicely. I really like what they did tonight on NXT, how he kicked things off with the Women's Championship contract signing, Bayley and Asuka getting in each other's faces, really showing the fire, the intensity. Bayley saying that, how she fought to become NXT Women's Champion and how she's going to fight to take her NXT Women's Championship back now from Asuka. Bayley signs the contract. Asuka says that she doesn't have what it takes to beat her at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. I really liked how this segment played out. The mind games with Bayley and Asuka. And eventually Bayley gets out of the ring. She gets back in the ring, though, goaded in by Asuka. And Asuka extends her hand to shake Bayley's, but Bayley ends up slapping it and shoulder checks Asuka, and that's how we end the segment. So great amount of intensity. Really liked how the segment flowed. It was a good contract signing. We didn't have the stereotypical big brawl at the end, so that was nice. So good stuff and a good way to kick off this week's edition of NXT. We then had the Authors of Pain versus Nails and Rising. Fairly fast match, just another way to demonstrate the power and dominance that the Authors of Pain have been wreaking havoc over the NXT Tag Team division. They're able to get the win with the Russian leg sweep clothesline combo for the win. After the match, TM61 tries to come out and make the save, but they are quickly dispatched up by the Authors of Pain. So might we be seeing an Authors of Pain versus TM61 feud? We'll have to see. It's something that could be interesting to the newer tag teams in the NXT division, feuding with one another. Like I said, I'm interested to see where the Authors of Pain go. If it is with TM61, should be interesting. Like I said, I'll give it a chance, and that's the nice thing about NXT. We see different matches, different feuds, and it just breathes a level of fresh air into the weekly product. We then had Andrea Cien Almas versus Angelo Dawkins. Quick work for Andrea Cien Almas. He wins with the Hammerlock DDT. But the important thing was, glorious. Bobby Roode came to the ring, and he challenged Andrea Cien Almas to a match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan of the glorious Bobby Roode's entrance video. Great stuff. I love the way Roode was just kind of, poking at Cien and pretty much saying that if this is his moment, it's going to be his time to shine, and it will be glorious at NXT TakeOver. Nobody cares about you. They're going to be caring about what I do in the ring. And then, so we have that match announced. It was set up for TakeOver Brooklyn. Bobby Roode's debut should be good stuff versus Almas. We then had Austin Aries talking to William Regal and saying, why doesn't he have a match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn? William Regal agrees, and he announces that it's going to be Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. And we have that match to look forward to as well. And also announced, it was confirmed that Gargano and Ciampa will be challenging Dash and Dawson, the Revival, for the NXT Tag Team Championships, along with the debut of Ember Moon. We have a solid NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2 card that we have to look forward to. So look forward to giving my predictions and preview next Thursday in my big SummerSlam NXT TakeOver predictions video. We then had Billie Kay versus Liv Morgan. Billie Kay looking impressive in this match. She was able to get the win with after she pushed Morgan into the ropes and hit her with the big boot to pick up the win. I could definitely see Billie Kay, as I said on Twitter, becoming a key piece for the revitalization of the NXT women's division. I say revitalization, not saying that the division is lacking. I just say that because we had Nia Jax called up. Bayley's probably going to be called up soon. And with the 4 horsewomen being on Raw and SmackDown, are going to have to be developing some new names, some new faces. You have Billie Kay. You have Liv Morgan. There are other such names that throw out there that you could really build around for the future, because Asuka, she'll be sticking around and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see how the deck is reshuffled for the NXT women's division. Like I said, there's other names that I can't think of off the top of my head, but you know who they are, and I definitely see a new batch of women being brought up, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. I always like seeing the development because that is the whole goal of the developmental system, so we will see how these talents end up either flourishing or sinking, but Billie Kay I definitely see potential in, and this was a nice little win for her here. After this match, we move on to Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano versus team of Patrick Clark and Tucker Knight. This was a nice match, a good warm-up match for Gargano and Ciampa to get their moves in, to display their dominance and finesse as a tag team, and to say that they're going to make a statement at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn when they challenge the Revival. I'm really looking forward to that match. Definitely think it could be match of the night. It could be a really strong sleeper match, so we'll have to see how that goes. But in this match, Gargano and Ciampa are able to hit super kick knee strike combo for the win. So Gargano and Ciampa looking strong heading into TakeOver Brooklyn. We then had our main event. It was Mojo Rawley versus Samoa Joe. Mojo was, it's very tough to say Mojo, Samoa Joe, kind of sounds similar, but point is, Mojo was looking for revenge on Samoa Joe for what Joe did to Mojo last week, laying Mojo out. So, as you can guess, Mojo is very fired up. He actually gets in a decent amount of offense in at the beginning until Joe is able to sidestep him, and Mojo runs right into the steel steps. Eventually, Joe is able to lock in the second of 2 Coquina clutches, and pretty much yelling Nakamura, saying that this is what's going to happen to you at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And eventually Joe locks in the clutch, and the refs come down, try to break him up. Nakamura eventually makes his way down. They have security to hold back Joe and Nakamura. The tension is building. Cut it with a knife. And Joe has Nakamura walk right up to him, and he says, "I got your nose," and Joe is just freaking out. And this is how we close out this week's edition of NXT. It was a good show, like I said. If I had to give this week's show a grade, B-, B- for this week's edition of NXT. So yeah, guys, that is my review for this week's edition of NXT, but hold it. This review is not over. Like I said, we are also going to be jumping into my review of the best show produced by WWE this week. Hands down, A+. I'm already giving it an A+ before we even get into it. It was this week's episode of the Cruiserweight Classic. We had 2 very good matches on this show. We had Tajiri versus Gran Metalik. And then we had a phenomenal match between Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander. There is so much to talk about with what happened on the Cruiserweight Classic. Like I said, from start to finish, this was a great 45 minutes of nonstop professional wrestling. These 2 matches were awesome. They were given enough time to flourish and develop and tell a tremendous story. And to that, I say, props to all 4 men involved. They went out there and busted their asses, and it certainly showed on this week's edition of the CWC. So our first match of the evening was Tajiri versus Gran Metalik, and for 2 older veterans, these guys went out there and they just tore it up. I mean, there was just so much good stuff in this match that it's really hard to just talk about every single thing that happened. I mean, it's so good. My words can't do it justice. Same with the other match between Ibushi and Alexander. But just Tajiri and Metalik, they definitely took it to one another. There was a nice head scissors submission hold with a bridge that Tajiri tried to lock into on Metalik. Tajiri also hit an impressive looking kick to the face of Metalik. Some nice knife edge chops by Metalik. And there was a nice springboard drop kick that Metalik hit to Tajiri, and then Metalik went up and hit a somersault plancha off the top rope onto Tajiri. So fast-paced, lucha libre style action. And then the finish came when Tajiri tried to counter a sit-out powerbomb that led to a 2 count onto Metalik. Tajiri tried to get Metalik strapped into the octopus stretch, and Tajiri went for his buzzsaw kick, but Metalik was able to counter with the Metalik screwdriver, and Metalik advances into the second round. Like I said, this was good stuff all around, and props to both of the guys involved in this match. Second best match of the night, probably second best match of the week. I mean, this was good stuff all around, and it set the bar high, and the next match it was even better than this match. We had in our main event, it was Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander in the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic. Holy cow, what a match. This almost went to the full 20 minutes of the time limit, and these guys certainly proved to us and to everybody watching, why they're fighting. Why they're fighting is to see who can win this Cruiserweight Classic, and these two laid it out all on the line. Ibushi showing why he is one of the best in the world at what he do, and Cedric Alexander, he had a showing, and this was his night as well. Take nothing away from him. He tore it up. He was tremendous. He hung in there with Ibushi till the end, and even though he came up short, on the losing end, he had a tremendous show of respect from the fans at Full Sail. It was a great moment. They were saying, sign him, sign him. And a nice thing at the end was Triple H came out and he pointed at Cedric and pretty much, said that, yeah, this guy, he deserves it and we are going to sign him. So a nice endorsement from the man behind both NXT and the CWC, Triple H. That was a great moment. But this match, like I said, this was tremendous. This was definitely by far the best match of the week on WWE programming. Nothing came close to it. Ibushi, I mean, he's incredible. I mean, when he went up to the rope and did that moonsault, that was awesome. I mean, just the hold for hold, move for move, counter for counter, the stiffness of the kicks and the chops by Ibushi, and the way that Alexander was able to fight through and, endure what Ibushi had to throw at him. It was great stuff. They told a story in the ring. You were invested near fall after near fall. Like I said, my words can't do this justice. If you have the network and you haven't watched it yet, you are going to enjoy this match. It was great stuff from start to finish. Like I said, the kicks and the chops, everything, it just made an impact. It mattered. It was, you could feel it. You were like, man, this is hurting them. They're really tearing each other's body limb from limb. And the finish, we have to talk about that. It came when Ibushi hit an enziguri to Alexander, and he hit the Golden Star, beautiful powerbomb to pick up the victory. Kota Ibushi advances into the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic, and he is my favorite to currently win the CWC. So yeah, the CWC A+ show this week. 2 outstanding matches between Tajiri and Metalik, and Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander. So yeah, I'm giving NXT this week a B-, and the CWC this week an A+. Best show of the week by WWE by far. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on NXT and the CWC before I sign out. Next week, we have Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher, and we have Noam Dar versus Ho-Ho Lun, and the Brian Kendrick versus Tony Nese. So we have those second-round matches to look forward to on the Cruiserweight Classic. So good stuff. Like I said, Wednesday is quickly becoming my favorite night to watch wrestling, and if this tournament if it's good now, imagine what it's going to be like once we get to the finals. So, yeah, thank you all for tuning in and watching this video. Remember to please click that like and subscribe button for more video content coming soon. Leave your comments down below on what you thought of NXT and the CWC. Always enjoy responding back to your comments. And be on the lookout for my next video. Until then, guys, take care, and I will see you in my next video.